Welcome everyone to Football for Fun. Today we're going to be ranking every team in the NFL heading into week 7, and it got a lot more difficult this week. My top 3 teams in my rankings last week all took losses, so yeah, that complicated things. I'm going to be dropping some of those teams a good bit, and others not as far as you'd expect, but I'll explain that later on. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. We appreciate any help and support we can get. We're a young and quickly growing channel, so thank you all very much. Without further ado, let's get into it with the Jets. Once again, they have their own tier. I'm sorry. You played a competitive game against Denver because your defense played better than it was supposed to, and Denver just didn't seem to want to blow you out, I guess. I don't know. That was a weird game. I didn't watch it. I just checked the box score, and Denver's offense just didn't do too well. But the Jets' offense was about as bad as it can get. I'm not even sure how they scored points based on the box score. Justin Fields looks like the worst starting quarterback in the league. I don't know if he is for sure, but he's playing like it lately. It's unfortunate because I like the guy and I'd like him to succeed. And Jets fans, I'd like you guys to get a win sometime soon. Not this week, though. Please, not this week. I'm a Panthers fan. I can't have that happen. But yeah, the Jets just look like a train wreck. I think they're dysfunctional, and I don't think the culture has been set there yet. I don't think Aaron Glenn is doing a very good job there. They're going to get a win at some point. I don't know when exactly, but for now, the Jets are clearly the worst team in the league. Hopefully they get a win later this season, but hey, at least you got Garrett Wilson, right? Yeah. Okay, next up you got the Titans, who, like the Jets, also get their own tier because they are that bad. I think that the bottom 2 teams in the league are the Jets and the Titans, and I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close. That's my take. You can disagree if you want. That's just how I view it. The Titans look like a train wreck. They've already fired their head coach, and I do think that was the right decision. It's possible they start to play better now that he's gone. I don't really anticipate that being the case. I don't think Cam Ward is too good. I think he's okay, but he definitely doesn't have much help with that offense. You got Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard. Sorry, that's not inspiring. You got to add some talent this offseason. The defense has some guys, but it's just not enough, man. The Titans are a bad team. They don't have a whole lot of talent. I think they can build around Cam Ward moving forward, but it's going to take some time. This is a very long rebuild, and hopefully they get the next head coaching hire correct. They definitely didn't last time, so we will see. I'm sorry, Titans fans. Y'all don't deserve this. Raiders are coming in next. We're moving on to the You Should Just Tank tier, which is just teams that are really, really, really bad, and I don't see your season going anywhere. The Raiders are among those teams. I do think they're the 3rd worst team in the league, and that's after they beat the Titans by 10. I'm not about to suddenly proclaim that the Raiders can be good. I don't really see it. Geno Smith is one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league this season. Ashton Genty behind that offensive line hasn't been able to do a whole lot, just not very efficient. I don't think he is the problem. I think the offensive line is just bad. Brock Bowers has been missing time with an injury. Hopefully he returns soon and maybe that gives you a boost, but as of right now, I'm not feeling it with the Raiders. They just seem like they are terrible, and with every passing week, I continue to wonder, how did they beat the Patriots in week 1? It makes no sense to me, but at least they can, hold their hats on that win. I don't know. Raiders fans, look forward to the future, I guess. Maybe you can upgrade at quarterback this offseason. I don't know. You're probably drafting somebody. We'll see. The Saints are going to come in next. As a Saints hater, I probably have them a little lower than others, but also higher than I expected to have them at this point. I'm trying to be objective here. I would pick the Saints to beat the Raiders, Titans, and Jets without much hesitation, on a neutral field at least. The Saints have been competitive in most of their games this year, credit where it's due, and they were competitive against the Patriots on Sunday. I will say the officiating was extremely sketchy. I've seen a lot of people complaining about it, saying the refs were trying to win New Orleans the game. I don't think they were trying to win them the game. I think the refs are just bad at their jobs sometimes. That's what I'm going with. Sorry, referees. I don't think the New Orleans Saints are a good team. They got some guys there. Chris Olave, Mr. Consistent at receiver, usually gets like a bunch of receptions for 50 to 55 yards. I don't know what he did this past week, to be honest. Alvin Kamara is getting old. He's definitely a trade candidate. You got a couple of aging veterans on defense who can play. Spencer Rattler hasn't been terrible. I don't think he's the guy moving forward, but if they want to keep him, then so be it. I'm okay with it. It doesn't scare me. New Orleans is still a bad team, but they are not as bad as the teams below them. Speaking of which, you can say the same thing about Miami. In my opinion, they got 1 win this year, and it's against the lowly Jets. So, yeah, that says plenty about their record here. They got 5 losses, and credit where it's due, they were competitive against a depleted Chargers team, missing their best offensive linemen, their top 2 at least, missing Amari and Hampton. They were starting their RB3. Running back 3, 3rd on the depth chart coming into the year. Najee Harris and Amari and Hampton are out, so Kamani Vidal, however you say his name, to be honest, I don't know. But he went off against them, which is telling me the Miami run defense will let anyone run all over them. I mean, 2 weeks ago it was Rico Dowdle. Last week it's Kamani. Good for those guys, but they're not exactly Christian McCaffrey or Bijan Robinson, you know. Miami's run defense is terrible. Their defense all around is terrible. And, I mean, it looked like they had a chance to beat the Chargers. I was shocked. Well, mostly shocked. I did say there was some upset potential because of the Chargers' injuries, but still, the fact they were leading at the very end is kind of crazy. Yet they couldn't pull it off because their defense folded at the very end. Just terrible for that team. They're 1-5 now. It's only a matter of time before Mike McDaniel is fired. Their season's over at this point. They're not going to make a playoff push, especially in the AFC that has a lot of playoff-worthy teams. I don't see it with Miami. Just tank, and rebuild. I'm sorry, Dolphins fans. You are facing another rebuild coming up soon. Cleveland is coming in next, and, I mean, you can disagree with that. I think they have a really good defense and a really good running back in Quinshad Judkins. Rookie tight end Harold Fannin Jr., by the way, also pretty good. They drafted very, very well. To be completely honest, I think Cleveland nailed the draft, at least as of right now. The problem is they have Dylan Gabriel at quarterback, and he's a third-round draft pick. He's not terrible so far, but I don't think he's someone you build your future around. So Cleveland, I don't really know what the plan is. I would imagine you're drafting a quarterback next spring. So with that in mind, I think you should just tank. I also think you give Dylan Gabriel a few more games and see if he can show you something. I don't expect him to. At some point, you let Shedeur Sanders give it a try. I don't really think he's going to be much better, but you might as well see what you've got before you commit to drafting a quarterback. All that is to say, I think Cleveland has a lot of talent, and if they play it right, they can be closer to mediocre next season or even better. Just depends on what they do at quarterback. They also need to upgrade at receiver because Jerry Jeudy being your top receiver is not ideal. Yeah, Cleveland, they've definitely got talent. I would pick them to beat all the teams below them as of right now, but that's just me. Next up, it's Cincinnati. I do have them in this tier, even though that organization, that franchise, they do not intend to tank. They traded for Joe Flacco last week thinking maybe they can win enough games so that when Joe Burrow returns, they might be in the playoff race. I don't see it that way. I think you need 10 wins in the AFC to make the playoffs. Cincinnati's not going to get there. I don't think they even get close. Cincinnati's defense is too bad for that to happen. The offensive line is too bad. If Joe Burrow were on this team, I'm not sure I would have them win 9 games anyway. Like it's that bad all around. Now they were more competitive this past weekend against Green Bay, and I did move them up a few spots despite the loss. I moved them up in my rankings here, but this is still a bad team, and I don't know. It's rough in Cincinnati. I think you should just tank, not literally tank. Obviously, none of these teams are thinking they should just lose out, but I think for the sake of your future, Bengals fans, you should tank. You should get a good draft pick. You should use it well. Draft somebody on defense, maybe on the offensive line too. You got to build up that team and hopefully keep Joe Burrow alive next year. That's really important. You better spend some money on the offensive line as well. That's super important. You cannot keep getting him hurt. But, and also you should fire your coach. Seems pretty apparent he is not that good of a coach. That's what a lot of fans are saying, at least, and I would tend to agree. Maybe we're all wrong, though. I don't know. We'll move on from Cincinnati and go on to the Arizona Cardinals. I'm flipping on them here. I think they should just tank. It's over, man. The Cardinals, they started Jacoby Brissett last week, and they played well against the Colts. I'm not sure what to take away from that. Maybe that says a lot about Kyler Murray, or the way he runs that offense, or maybe it's just they played a good game out of nowhere. I don't know. My take is the Cardinals are going to keep losing games. I think that they could have been mediocre this year, but the losses, they have a tough schedule coming up. The losses are going to keep piling up, and it's going to get rough. I think Kyler is gone this offseason. I think that's the right call. He probably should have been gone by now anyway. I think Gannon's going to get fired at some point this year. I think Arizona's starting over at head coach and quarterback this offseason. So it's in your best interest to just keep losing, set yourselves up nicely for the draft, and hopefully you get it right. And Cardinals fans, you've got talent there. You got McBride and Harrison on offense, and whatever quarterback you bring in next is going to have weapons to work with. So that's the bright side. But yeah, definitely not a good spot to be in. And hypothetically, maybe you have enough talent this year where Kyler comes back from injury and starts playing better football, which he hasn't this year yet, but maybe he starts playing well. And then maybe Arizona pulls an upset here and there, and they win enough games to stay in the playoff hunt. I don't see it. I think that this team is just defeated now. I think they needed to win against Indianapolis. They needed to pull out that win, but then they couldn't close the game. So my take is the Cardinals need to just keep losing, or they're going to keep losing. You should just tank at that point. And yeah, lost season in Arizona. Rounding out this tier, I am going to keep the Giants here. You should just tank. And I don't mean to say that you're the worst team in the league or anything, because you impressed last week against Philadelphia. The Giants showed what they can be with this young core of offensive players in Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo. They obviously have talent, and imagine if Malik Neighbors was out there. That'd be even better. I think this offense next year could be really, really good. I think they're going to have games this year where they are really good, but I also know 2 weeks ago they went and put up a stinker against New Orleans. They only hung 14 points on the Saints defense, and they took the L. So I'm keeping that in mind. I think New York is probably just an inconsistent team, and they have a brutal schedule. My take on them in the offseason was they're probably going to be better than their record indicates, but they're going to lose a ton of games due to the schedule they have. I don't see many more wins coming their way, unfortunately, and I could be wrong. But honestly, they're not doing anything this year, so just keep taking the losses and don't be too disappointed by it, Giants fans. You guys could have a bright future with Jackson Dart at quarterback, Cam Scatabo at running back, Malik Neighbors comes back next year at receiver. You got Wan'Dale Robinson, good wide receiver too. You got a talented defense. Like, Giants fans, the arrow is trending up. I would feel really good if I were a Giants fan right now. So hold out hope for the future. This year wasn't ever going to be your year, though. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next tier now, where we have the Baltimore Ravens coming in next. I don't know what to do with you. Baltimore fits that tier pretty nicely. They are 1-5 now, which is insane. You would never have guessed that coming into the year. They're 1-5 at this point in the season, largely due to injuries. Lamar Jackson's missed the past couple of games. The defense, they don't really have a healthy defense. Everyone is hurt, it feels like. Hopefully they get some guys back. They're on a bye week now, so they have time to heal up, rest up, get some guys back, hopefully, before they play the Bears, who are looking pretty good right now. They're surging, so the Ravens have an upcoming stretch of games where they should be able to rattle off some wins and re-enter the playoff discussion. I personally still have them winning the AFC North, which that might be a bad take by me. We'll see. I don't really know what to do with them, though, because they're 1-5, and I don't know how they're going to look coming off their bye week in 2 weeks. Lamar Jackson should return. The defense should start to get healthier. If they don't, though, the Ravens are going to keep losing games. That's it. They're just going to keep losing. But I think that they'll turn it around. I don't really know. It's really hard to guess right now because of what we've seen so far, and I am ranking based on what has happened so far. I'm not trying to project necessarily, but yeah, I do project the Ravens to end up winning the division, but right now they got to be pretty low in the rankings with their 1-5 record. Come back again after their bye week, after they play Chicago, and they get some guys back, and we'll reevaluate them. Just above them, I am going to put the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what to do with them. I didn't last week. I still don't. They got one of the best offenses in the league and one of the worst defenses in the league. So that should average out to a mediocre team, but the way the rankings are shaping up, they are a little on the downside here in the 20s. Dak Prescott's playing like an MVP right now. And Javonte Williams has been a top 5 running back in the league this season, although he got shut down Sunday against a good Carolina run defense. I'll be the first to tell you that is a good run defense. Don't listen to anyone who says we don't have a run defense. No, Dallas should be able to get to maybe 8 wins. I think right now I project them to go 8-1, but I don't really know what to do with them. They can win against just about anyone with that offense or lose to just about anyone with that defense. So that makes them a really fun team to watch and probably a headache to root for. Just above them, the team they play this week, it's Washington. Honestly, you can put them in either order right now, and I would be okay with it. Washington falls a lot in my rankings after losing to Chicago on Monday night, and they just haven't looked good. They've been inconsistent. I probably said that previously, that they look inconsistent. Losing to the Bears is not the greatest sign. Jaden Daniels wasn't great. The defense hasn't been great. I don't have a good feeling about this Washington team. As of right now, I actually have them finishing the year with a losing record. And that might be a hot take, but you go check their upcoming slate of games. They might be in trouble. The game against Dallas this week is probably a must-win game based on who is coming after that. They got the Chiefs really soon, too. I think they still have the Lions on their schedule fairly soon. It could get ugly fast, but I don't know. Maybe everything starts to click out of nowhere and Washington rattles off a bunch of wins. I don't really know. I know they have talent there. Personally, I don't believe in it, but we're going to see what happens. Next up is Atlanta, and yeah, I've got them lower than a lot of people do, I'm sure. They just beat Buffalo. I've determined that game said more about Buffalo than Atlanta. I still remember Carolina beating Atlanta 30-0 just a few weeks ago. I'm not about to say that offense is suddenly elite. I think they got players who can go off, and that's what happened against Buffalo. I don't think that defense is that good, though. Washington's backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota, scored, 27 on Atlanta? I'm just saying, I don't think Atlanta's defense is that good. This is probably closer to an average team overall. I think that they will have their highs and their lows, which we've seen already, getting shut out by Carolina and then beating Buffalo this past week. I don't know. I guess they're probably average. I don't really know what to do with them because there's all this talent, but I feel like this is what Atlanta's going to do. They're going to win some games against good teams. They're going to lose to some bad teams, and they'll probably go like 8-9 or 7-10 or something like that when all's said and done. I could be wrong, and I know I'm probably somewhat biased because I am a Panthers fan who hates on my rivals, but I'm just not there. I don't really know what to do with them. Let's wait and see what happens in the coming weeks. Especially this week, Sunday Night Football against the 49ers. That'll be an interesting one. I've got Carolina up next. I probably got us higher than most people do, but I am a Panthers fan. There's some degree of bias. I don't deny it. I try to be objective, but honestly, I'm going to keep my team against up above the Falcons, who we beat 30-0. I saw it on the field. I'm going to keep us above them if it's possible. I didn't last week because, well, I think I did last week. It was a few weeks ago that I didn't because we were 1-3. Now we're 3-3. We've won 2 in a row. We've won 3 of our last 4. We have figured out how to run the ball. We didn't do that early in the season, but we figured it out. Rico Dowdle has been outstanding. He has, with no debate, he has been the best running back in football for the past 2 weeks. I don't know that will continue to be the case, especially if Chuba Hubbard returns and we split their carries, which I'm guessing is what will happen. Hopefully we give them both a bunch of carries and they can both be productive. We're going to get Jalen Coker back soon at receiver, so we'll finally have a wide receiver too for Bryce to throw to. Ted McMillan has been a good one. Xavier Leggett is also there. I don't know. He has his moments sometimes. Tight end play has been okay. The run defense, though, has been outstanding. Outstanding. We held Javonte Williams, who was previously top 3 in rushing in the league. Still top 5, by the way. We held him to 29 yards on 13 carries, which is amazing. That is elite run defense. You want to say that's a fluke? Well, 2 weeks ago, we held Devon Achane to less than 20 yards on 13 carries. I think it was 13 for 19. So, yeah, we have done it back-to-back games while also running the ball very well ourselves. I think this is suddenly a very competitive Panthers team. We are watchable. I think we can win games. We have enough out there. Now that we figured out how to run the ball and stop the run, we can win games. So I currently project us to go 9-8. And I know that's me being an optimistic and probably delusional Panthers fan, but that's my take, and I'm going to stand by it for now. I also know it would be so us to lose to the Jets this week, but we'll see what happens. Just above Carolina, I am putting Chicago. I've been hyping up Chicago since the offseason. I boldly declared that they would be a playoff team. I'm hoping that ages well, honestly. Well, actually, I hope Carolina takes the 7th seed instead of Chicago, but if Chicago makes it in, I will definitely be happy that I called that. So far, they have looked like an interesting team, but they've won 3 in a row, but they also lost their first 2, so I don't really know what to do with them exactly. They played really close with Washington, who I'm not super high on right now. They played really close with the Raiders, who I'm very low on. They lost a game to Minnesota, which is why Minnesota remains above them. And I don't know. They blew out Dallas. That was a good win. I don't know. Chicago's interesting. I did put them above Carolina because I can compare the game against Dallas, and Chicago looked better against Dallas than we did. And I guess I get the feeling that if we played today, Chicago would probably have the edge. I'm not entirely sure. It's a tough one. So I like this Bears team, and if I'm projecting here, I think they're going to win close to 9 games. But I'm not projecting on the future. I'm basing it on what's happened so far, and I don't really know what to do with them, so they're not going to go too high in my rankings. We will see what happens as the season goes on, but I do think this has the potential to be a playoff team. I just don't fully trust them yet to predict it. That's going to end the I don't know what to do with you tier. These 6 teams, I could see all of them potentially going on a run and making the playoffs. I could also see all of them picking in the top 10 if things do not work out. So we'll see what happens. In the mid tier, I have the Vikings. And honestly, in my personal opinion, I think Minnesota is going to be picking in the top 10 this year when all is said and done. I know that might be harsh because so far they have a winning record. I think they're 3-2 right now. But I don't love it. I don't. And they have a tough schedule. I think that they probably don't win more than 7 or 8 games. But based on what's happened so far, they're 3-2. They have the win over Chicago, so in my eyes, they should remain above them. I don't know. They're solid. They have a good defense overall, except against the run for some reason. They've been struggling there. They've got talent on offense. I don't really know what's going on at quarterback. I believe Carson Wentz is getting another start, but maybe J.J. McCarthy comes back, and I don't even think it's good if he comes back. I think that's actually worse for that offense. But I don't know, man. Minnesota looks pretty mid to me. I'm going to add San Francisco here. A week ago, I said they were a playoff team. And then they lost to Tampa by, I think it was 11 points. And I know that's a good team they lost to, but what's really affecting this drop in the rankings is they lost Fred Warner for the year. Now, you've already lost a ton of talent on offense, and you had lost Nick Bosa on defense. I think Fred Warner was the best player on that defense, though. I think that's the loss on defense that San Francisco is not going to be able to recover from. I think that defense is going to struggle mightily for the rest of the year, and the offense is going to be on them to keep up. I don't know that they're going to be able to. I think that they're still going to be competitive enough to where I can put them in the mid-tier. I think they're probably going to get to 9 wins. They have enough games against lesser opponents to where they do have a track to the playoffs. I'm not currently projecting that they make it there. I think they're closer to mid right now because they fight. They fight like heck. They go through all the adversity, and they are able to come up with some wins, but there's so many injuries now. You hate to see it if you're a Niners fan, and I feel for them because they do this every stinking year. I mean, what is going on in San Francisco? Honestly, you need a new strength and conditioning coach. Rounding out the mid-tier, I'm going to put the Houston Texans in. They are coming off a bye week, so not really much changes in my view about them. Great defense, in my opinion, the best in the league. The offense, I still need to see it. They looked decent against Tennessee and then Baltimore, but I need to see it against a good defense. They play Seattle this week. They have a chance to show me that they can play good offense against a good defense. We're going to see. I think Houston has a chance to jump up in the rankings with a win against Seattle. If they pull it off, then they will move up. And, well, they could be a playoff team. Don't write them off yet. But, yeah, you got to prove something on offense. For now, you are perfectly mid with an elite defense and a lackluster offense. Moving on to the playoff teams tier, I'm putting the Chargers in. I was not impressed with them Sunday against Miami. Letting the Dolphins almost beat you is not the greatest of signs, but I do acknowledge you're facing some injuries there, some key injuries to your offensive line and your running back room. I don't love that your defense gave up as many points as it did to Miami. I do realize, though, Miami was down 13 in the fourth quarter and then just scored a couple touchdowns late. I don't know. I don't want to react too harshly to it, but this team has definitely been unimpressive for the past few weeks. They started off, 3-0 with wins over the Chiefs and Broncos, and they just haven't looked the same since then. So I don't love it. I think they're still going to be a playoff team. I think they have too much talent to miss the playoffs, and I think they're well coached. I think they're going to figure it out, but they're going to be lower on this list than I would like them to be. And I do know you could argue they should be above the Chiefs and the Broncos because of the head-to-head wins. I think today I wouldn't hesitate to pick the Broncos or Chiefs over them, just the way they've looked the past few weeks. I hope they figure it out. I'm a Justin Herbert fan. I'm a Quentin Johnston fan as well, Ladd McConkey fan. I like a lot of guys on that roster. I will be rooting for them in that division, but as of right now, I'm not feeling it. Next up, and this will probably surprise a good amount of people, the Buffalo Bills. I dropped them a ton here. I did. They were number 3 in my rankings last week, and in retrospect, I probably should have dropped them after their first loss even more. They were number 1, and then they took a loss, and I thought, okay, not that big of a deal. I'm going to drop them 2 spots. They're going to bounce back. And then they went and got beaten up by Atlanta. And I don't mean it was a close game or just a last-second loss or anything. I mean, they got owned in that game. I didn't watch the game. It was more of a box score view for me. But Atlanta basically always led. Bijan Robinson went off on that Buffalo run defense. Drake London had a huge game. We don't say that a whole lot. Michael Penix looked pretty good from what I saw. Josh Allen had a terrible day. I don't want to overreact to the Bills. Initially, I was inclined to believe that, hey, Josh Allen has his off games sometimes. We do this once a year probably. Like last year it was Houston. This year it looks like it's Atlanta. I think the Bills, I project them to be fine. I think they're going to be okay anyway. But as we look at what's happened this season, none of their wins have been impressive. You know, they beat the 1-5 Ravens, and that's probably their best win because at least the Ravens were healthier in week 1. But that's it. That's it. None of their other wins have been any good. And now they're coming off back-to-back losses where they haven't looked that great. And as we examine the roster, on offense, it's Josh Allen, it's James Cook. I don't like any of their receivers. Like, they got a bunch of okay guys. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, I guess, are your top guys. Dalton Kincaid at tight end. This is not a very good supporting cast. It's mediocre, really. I don't know, man. I need to see more from Buffalo before I start hyping them up as Super Bowl contenders again. But these past 2 weeks, I think, have been pretty exposing for Buffalo. And I'm sorry, Bills Mafia, because I would love to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong here. I hope that a week from now or 2 weeks from now, we can look at Buffalo and say, oh, yeah, that was a fluke against Atlanta. They're going to be fine. They're still good. But It's tough. It's tough. We will see what happens. And I did drop them pretty low, not just because of that exposure, but because I'm moving the Patriots above them. They have the same record now, and we've already seen who would win when they play. And it wasn't even at New England, it was at Buffalo. So New England went to Buffalo 2 weeks ago and beat the Bills, and now the Bills and Patriots have the same record. So yeah, I think the Patriots deserve to be ranked higher than the Bills based on what we've seen so far. The Patriots have been rolling. I acknowledge that the game against the Saints was closer than you'd like it to be. I also acknowledge that officiating was not very good, and the Patriots could have won by even more if not for officiating getting in their way. And I'm not one to say that games are rigged or scripted or anything, but yeah, some of the officiating there was definitely egregious. You can go look up some plays if you want. So yeah, I said last week I think the Patriots are going to be a playoff team. I feel pretty confident about it. I still feel that way. And now I have to wonder if they can win that division. I said last week it was possible if they keep winning and the Bills drop some of their bigger games. Well, it definitely helps if the Bills are going to drop some of their lesser games too. Like the Atlanta game was not one I had in mind for them to lose. So suddenly the AFC East race is very intriguing. The Patriots have a lot of winnable games. If they keep winning and the Bills keep staggering and falling in games they shouldn't lose, then why not? I currently don't project it, but these rankings are based on what's happened so far, so I'm going to honor that head-to-head result. Speaking of which, I've got the Steelers above the Patriots here. Also a playoff team. That division is still theirs to lose. They got a 3-game lead over the Ravens now. I think the Bengals are still second in that division, which is insane. Yeah, I don't like it because personally, I don't think the Steelers are that good. I think they're close to mediocre, and in my projections, I still say they missed the playoffs. But if we're basing it on what's happened so far, they've only got one loss. They look very solid. They're improving on defense with every passing week. The offense functions just all right. They have a win over the Patriots, who we now view as a playoff team, so I gotta honor that. I'm moving the Steelers up, but I also don't think they've looked that good, so I still have about 10 teams above them, which brings me to another team that will probably be higher in every other ranking you see, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they're lower here in part because I want to honor head-to-head results to some degree. Like, the Jags just beat them 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to keep the Jags above them. I think that's only fair. Also, the Jags have a better record than them, so if you have the Chiefs above the Jags, I don't really understand how. I will also make the case, though, that soon the Chiefs will move up because Rashee Rice returns to this offense, so they're going to be an improved unit, but we haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to move them up yet. Now, after next week, if they look good with Rashee Rice on the field, and that does change the outlook of the team, then yeah, I will move them up, even though head-to-head results would say to keep some teams above them. I can say the Chiefs are a different team after that, but I need to see it first. So for now, the Chiefs are fairly low. I'm not ready to put them in Super Bowl contenders. I still don't think that they quite are. I mean, maybe they are, I guess, but I need to see how they look with Rashee Rice. I project them to be a Super Bowl contender for sure. Based on what we've seen so far, they are 4-3. They have had not such great luck in close games. There are several teams in the AFC who have shown they are better. So, yeah, I'm going to honor that and keep the Chiefs pretty low in my rankings, but they're still a top 10 team. Next up, it is the Jags. As I just said, they beat the Chiefs head-to-head recently. I'm going to honor that. I also don't believe in the Jags personally. I still have them missing the playoffs. I think they go 8-9, 9-8, something like that. And I'm sorry, Jags fans. Enjoy every win you get. I will be rooting for you guys most games because it's a fun story, but I personally don't love it. I think that offense is lackluster. I think the defense has done a good job creating takeaways, but what we saw against Seattle was more so what I expect out of this team, and if you can't do better on offense, you're not going to win enough games to make the playoffs. I think that's just how it is. Maybe I'll be wrong, but yeah, I've still got them in the top 10 for now. If you keep winning games, you'll stay there. If you start dropping games, you're going to drop in your ranking. Just above them, I have the LA Rams. I didn't love their performance against the Ravens. I really didn't. I wanted to see something better there, but I don't know. Only scoring 17 on that defense is a little bit concerning to me. I said previously that the Rams' offense should be even more explosive than it is with the playmakers they have. It just isn't. I don't know why. It's very strange, but this is still a playoff team in my eyes. I think they should be considered one of the favorites in their division. It's them or Seattle in my eyes right now. A very good team, of course, and they have a lot of veteran experience with Matthew Stafford leading the way at quarterback. This is a team that could make the playoffs and go on a run, but yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens there. A lot of talent. Hopefully they can utilize it properly. The Eagles come in just above them. They're coming off a tough loss to the Giants. I wanted to drop them lower, honestly, but I think this is still one of the most talented teams in the league, and they're gonna figure it out. Maybe they should be a little lower. I think bare minimum they need to be above the teams they've beaten already, which include the Rams and the Chiefs. So I am honoring head-to-head results again here. This is still a very good team. I'm not too worried about Philadelphia. I think they still win that division by a few games. I think they still host a playoff game. Yeah, you gotta look better, though, because you're coming off back-to-back losses. If you're not careful, things will start to unravel. You'll start to take more losses that you shouldn't be taking. Maybe you even risk missing the playoffs. I mean, you have a lot of tough games on the schedule. If you don't get it together and the better teams you face beat you, it starts to become a concern. So I guess we'll see what happens. Coming in above him, also I'm going to start the Super Bowl contenders tier here, and this might surprise you. I'm putting Denver in. So Denver's above Philly because they beat them head-to-head, and Philly also notably not in this tier because right now I don't think that they are a Super Bowl team. They're coming off back-to-back losses, and the Giants game was just abysmal. I watched that whole game. It was sad. Yeah, I think Denver has a Super Bowl defense, and I think that their offense is good enough. And I think Sean Payton, he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. He's obviously capable of getting a team there. I think Denver has entered the conversation because the AFC is wide open. The Ravens have fallen apart. The Chiefs are 3-3 right now, and I don't think they're perfect yet. We'll see how they look next week with a healthier unit. I'm not projecting the Broncos to win it all or anything or even make it there. I still have the Chiefs winning that division because in my projections, I think that they're going to improve with Rashee Rice's return. But as of right now, from what we've seen, Denver looks like the best team in that division. I think they've improved a lot. I think that they're going to keep winning a lot of games. There is a chance they win that division. I don't see it yet, but they are playing really well. That defense alone gives them a chance every week. And as long as the offense can continue to play fairly well, I think this is a team that is solid enough that is going to be able to possibly go on a run in January. Like I've said, the Ravens have fallen apart. The Chiefs aren't the same. They're still very good, but not as good as they have been in years past. The Bills apparently have a lot of flaws. I don't know. It could be Denver. Coming in above them, also a Super Bowl contender new to this tier, I got Seattle. I really liked Seattle coming into last week. They lost a close game to Tampa, and I respected them more for it because I saw what their offense can do. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been the best receiver in the league. I mean, you can argue for Puka Nacua, but right now, JSN leads the league in receiving. I'm not personally surprised. I was tapping him up all offseason, but still, absolutely insane year for him so far. Hopefully he can keep it up. Seattle's offense has a lot of playmakers. They get the ball moving. The defense has been playing very, very well. I think special teams has been really good too. I think Seattle is a very good team, and I do think that they can contend. I've got them winning that division. I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a playoff run. Why not Seattle, man? They've been really impressive so far. Just above them, I got the Colts. They're 5-1. I didn't love their performance against the Cardinals. I think that was just more so the Cardinals playing better than they had any right to play. Jacoby Brissett came in and led that offense really well. And maybe Indy just didn't know what to expect from him, and that threw off their defense. I also know they had some key players in their secondary missing out. Charvarius Ward injured pregame. Kenny Moore was out, I believe. I'm not worried about them. I mean, the Colts played poorly and still ended up winning, which is a good sign. They can't look dominant every week, which is what the Colts had previously done. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I think the Colts are currently the best team in the AFC, which is a crazy statement. I can't believe I'm making it right now, but that's where we're at in the season. So Colts have a decent chance to go to the AFC Championship, even win it the way they're playing right now, based on what we've seen. So good for them. Colts fans enjoy it. I got the Packers coming in next just above the Colts, and I didn't want to move the Packers up this week. I had no intention of it. They were at 4 last week, and then the 3 teams above them lost. So you could argue that they should be 1 based on that, but I wasn't impressed with their game against Cincinnati. They did well just to win, but I've not been impressed with them. I liked them after week 1 a lot, and then since then it's just not been the same. So I still think they are one of the best teams in the league. I think that they have a very good defense, much like Denver. They have a very, very good defense, and they have more talented players on offense than a team like Denver has. I'm using Denver as an example because the comparable defense is. I think Green Bay has a good enough defense to get them all the way through the playoffs. I think that they can be consistent in January. I think that overall they have a lot of talent. They just need to put it all together. Jordan Love is the type of player who could get hot and go on a streak in January and carry his offense through every week. I still think they're a true contender. You don't have to like it. I know a lot of people were saying last week that I shouldn't have him that high. I'm going to keep him in the top 3 here. You keep winning games, you'll stay high. So, I don't know. I still like that team a lot. Number 2, and it pains me to do it, It's Tampa Bay. I left them out of the Super Bowl contenders tier last week. I gave them their own tier, which was how are you getting away with this, I think, because they kept winning these last minute games. And I replied to one of the comments saying that they are a Super Bowl contender. I said I want to see a more complete performance from them. I think that's what we got against San Francisco. They played pretty well in defense. They played well in offense with a lot of key injuries there too. Emeka Egbuka now injured as well. Tampa Bay continues to win games. Baker Mayfield is an MVP candidate, genuinely, and as a Panthers fan, I hate it, but also I like Baker, so I'm rooting for him specifically. Tampa is very clearly one of the best teams in the league. That's just how it is. They keep winning games. They look fairly good most weeks. I would like to continue to see them close out games and not need a game-winning drive from Baker, but as of right now, I think it's pretty fair to say Tampa is a genuine Super Bowl contender, top 2 or 3 team in the league. Now, I have one team above them, and this will be a surprise. Maybe it's controversial since they're coming off a loss, but I still have the Lions at 1 overall. I still have Detroit number 1, and I know they just lost to the Chiefs, and the final score says it wasn't close. I watched that game. We commented that game live. Detroit was in that game until the Chiefs pulled away later on in the fourth quarter. It was a good game. The Lions' injuries in the secondary, though, in my opinion, definitely affected that outcome. If they were healthier and they played the Chiefs, I think they probably could win that game, especially at home. The Chiefs were at home in that one. I picked the Chiefs to win that game, despite the Lions being 1 in my rankings. Unlike the other top teams that lost this week, I'm not worried about the Lions. I'm not worried. I think they're going to be just fine. I think they're still going to win a ton of games. I think they still get the 1 seed in the NFC. Again, on a neutral field today, I would pick them to beat all of the teams below them. That's just my take. Maybe it's the wrong take. I don't know. As I said previously, you can try as hard as you want with these power rankings or ranking these teams however you like. No one's going to get it completely right. So much changes week to week. We learn new things about teams. Some teams improve week to week. Some teams just fall apart, like the Jets. I don't know. This is what I've got, though. You can let me know how I did. Let me know if I'm right. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know why. Let me know why I'm right or wrong. It's possible this is viewed as a terrible list. I try to honor head-to-head results. I try to keep things in mind from what we've seen on the field, but this has been a weird year. It feels like no one is truly elite. It feels like anyone could win it all. I'm only highlighting 6 teams right now that I would feel good saying could make it to the Super Bowl. I don't feel good about the teams in the playoff teams tier in that regard. Like, I currently could not say the Eagles through the Chargers in this tier. I couldn't confidently say they're gonna make it to the Super Bowl. That may change in a week, especially the Chiefs when they get Rashee Rice back. I don't know. You guys let me know if I've got it right, if I've got it wrong. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. We'll do it again next week. I'll see you all in the next one. Enjoy the weekend.